At this time, I would like to take the opportunity to welcome His Eminence Cardinal Seán O'Malley, our Archbishop here in Boston. We've been very blessed by his prayerful support for the pro-life movement, not just in Boston, but across our country. Those of you who know His Eminence, you know he has not missed 1 year March for Life. Whether he was in Boston or traveling across the country or even in Rome, he always makes sure the Night for Life is priority on his calendar. So it's a great joy and a blessing for us to have His Eminence with us today, and I would like to invite him to grace us with his words.
Good evening, everyone. What a great joy to be here. Mother, thank you for bringing us together. Thank you for all that you do, the witness of your loving ministry to so many people in their moments of pain. And thank you for arranging this beautiful weather for us, too. We're very, very grateful. I also want to express my profound gratitude and admiration for Mayor Koch, for his courage, his witness, and being a man of principle and integrity who has the courage to stand up for his principles. You know, the Holy Father asks us to dialogue with Catholic politicians who sometimes don't have the courage of their convictions. And so many of them will say to me, "Oh, Cardinal, I can't impose my Catholic faith on someone else." But life is a precious gift. Life is not just us imposing our Catholic faith on someone, but defending an innocent human being whose life is being threatened. It's a matter of human rights. And we all need to have the courage to defend human rights, especially when humanity is most vulnerable. And so, Mayor, we thank you very, very much for your courage, for the way that you live your life and witness to your faith and live according to the principles that are so important to us, not just as Catholics, but as Americans and as human beings, because we are here to defend human life, and particularly when it is most vulnerable and most threatened. I often share with people a story that I used to teach when I was teaching Spanish literature from the famous book by Pérez Galdós called Marianela, about a young woman in a village in Spain who had a great capacity for love and friendship and goodness. And she had a boyfriend whose name was Pablo, and Pablo was blind. And Marianela used to cook for Pablo. She'd wash his clothes. She'd take him on walks. She'd read to him. She was his constant companion. And then one day, Pablo went off, and his family sent him to the big city to be operated on. He's cured of his blindness, and now he returns to his village, and for the first time in his life, he sees this young woman who loves him more than anyone else in the world ever could or ever would. But now that he can see, he realizes, well, there's other young ladies in the village who are prettier than Marianela. So he loses interest in her, and he goes and he marries someone else. But the irony of the story is that when Pablo was blind, he could see. He could see the beauty, the goodness, the love of Marianela. But when he could see with his eyes, he could only see what was on the surface. And appearances often deceive us. We need to be able to see the world through God's eyes. There are so many people there who are so sophisticated and so smart and so scientific, and yet they are incapable of seeing this human life before them. I remember once hearing a mother trying to explain to her child what an abortion was. The child said, "Mommy, what's an abortion?" And the mother's trying to give this very clinical, non-judgmental, scientific explanation. And the child keeps looking at his mother and saying, you mean they kill the baby? You mean they kill the baby?" The child could see what the mother didn't understand. Many years ago, as a young priest, I met Bernard Nathanson and heard his story firsthand. He had done thousands upon thousands of abortions until one day he could finally see the world through God's eyes and see, I'm killing a baby. And his whole life was turned around, and he became an apostle of life. He traveled with me to Venezuela and to Honduras. He spoke to the doctors, the politicians, the leaders about the evil of abortion. And even helped us get the laws changed in Honduras. Here was a man who finally was able to see the reality, seeing through God's eyes and seeing that this is a child who has a claim on our love and our protection. We're so happy to see Mother Teresa's sisters here. Mother Teresa was such an apostle of life, and she taught us how to do it so well. And when she visited here in Massachusetts, I always say that there were thousands of people gathered, and people were all lined up because she was giving out these little cards. And I said, I wonder if that's her business card. I said, I want to get one of those. Maybe it's her cell phone number or something. So I got in line, and when I got up to Mother Teresa, she gave me the card, and on it was written, "The fruit of silence is prayer. The fruit of prayer is faith. The fruit of faith is love. The fruit of love is service. The fruit of service is peace." What a beautiful description of her life. It began with prayer, with silence before the Blessed Sacrament. We are called to be a people who pray so that we can have faith and love and serve and bring peace into the world. Mother Teresa was such a great witness to life. We have to be better people if people are going to listen to our witness. That's why she was so eloquent. People saw her goodness, her love, the sacrifices that she made, the authenticity of her life. That's why it's so important that we strive to lead authentic lives so that when we talk about the gospel of life, people will pay attention and know that we're not phonies. As a young priest, 50 years ago in Washington, I was working with Nellie Gray, who started the pro-life march, and we'd have these meetings in her kitchen, eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, plotting how we were going to overthrow Roe versus Wade. And she came up with the idea of the pro-life march. She was working at the Labor Department, and as soon as the Supreme Court handed down the decision, she gave up her job. This became her life, working to save unborn children. And I remember that first march. There were so many people there, and the pundits in the newspaper said, well, all these pro-life people, they're going to die off, Well, Nellie's gone home to God. A lot of people have died off, but the pro-life movement just gets stronger and stronger and stronger and younger and younger. In the last 40-some years, I've gone every year, taken thousands of young people to Washington for the pro-life march and seen their lives transformed by the experience of being with their peers in this wonderful campaign for the gospel of life. And that's what brings us here tonight. We have a mission that Christ has entrusted to us to spread the gospel, and particularly the gospel of life. It's so encouraging to see all of you here tonight and to know of your commitment and your desire to bring the gospel of life to our community. As I always say, it's not easy being a Catholic in Massachusetts. It's a contact sport here. But with prayer, with community, and witnessing to the gospel of life, it's going to make a difference. The Lord is with us in this journey. He's giving us His strength and His life. Let us work tirelessly to make the gospel of life a reality in our community, witnessing not by anger and hatred, but by love, by service, by bringing healing, forgiveness, and hope to our world. This is what is needed. God bless all of you. Know that you count on my prayers always. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.